Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, broadcasting live from the Better Water LLC studios. We got a new studio sponsor on the Chris Hand Show. Shout out to our friends at Better Water. If you want better water in your home, Better Water LLC. I like the water stuff. I want to get one of those giant home filters. One of my friends has one, and it's really nice. Like, really nice.
Like really nice?
Yeah.
Like really nice.
Like to the point where I'm like, I'm tempted to ask if I could take a bath at your house. That's how nice it is. So if you need better water, talk to our friends at Better Water LLC. We had a major announcement this morning, and I just want to reiterate congratulations to Matt Murphy taking over Afternoon Drive from Brian Wilson. Absolute boss move. Right guy for the job. Congratulations to Chad Benson, who's going to be joining the team, coming into Matt Murphy's slot, 12-3. If you've had the opportunity to listen to Chad when he's filling in for Matt on Mondays or Fridays, then you're probably as excited as I am for him to be joining the station. He's fantastic. And at the same time, it's like bittersweet because we're losing Wilson. He's going to be around. He's going to be, chiming in as he feels the need to. He's always welcome on the Chris Hand Show. Always. But we'll miss Brian. But it's an embarrassment of riches that we have here at WTN. And I'm looking at the super text line, and I see all the well wishes for Murphy and Chad and the send-offs to Brian Wilson. And it's like I'm reminded once again, we have the best audience in America. Without a doubt, you guys make the station. Thank you for that. We're going to begin today. There's so much to cover. I mean, there's the Supreme Court issue on the trans surgery ban for minors. Our own AG Skermetti is going to be going up against that at the Supreme Court today, making his case, and we're gonna hear from the lawyer defending transing kids at one point today. I have some audio from her, him, her. You're not ready for the voice. I'm just gonna let you know, you are not ready to hear this lawyer's voice. And the lawyer doesn't make any good arguments either. None. We're also going to be talking about Pete Hegseth and the will he or will he not be confirmed. It's exactly what I was worried about when they let Matt Gaetz step down, man. You give them a scalp, and now they're after the next guy. Pete Hegseth is the next guy. They have razors out. They're looking to get this guy gone. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the senators that aren't backing him, but had no problem confirming Merrick Garland, the Republican senators. We'll talk about that. But I do want to begin on the fallout from the pardon of Hunter Biden. I think there's two really big stories today. Now the Supreme Court issue is one. Pete Hegseth stuff is one, but the two big stories that I couldn't get away from last night online were Canada becoming the 51st state and Hunter Biden's pardon. Those are what people are talking about. So we'll begin with the Hunter Biden pardon. More than half of voters say Biden was wrong to pardon son Hunter, and that the scandal is just as damaging as Watergate. The Daily Mail has this story. They polled some Americans in this exclusive poll, and it reveals that Americans believe his actions after months of promises that he would not make a special case out of his son are as damaging to trust in politics as some of the worst scandals of recent decades, such as Watergate, Iran-Contra, or Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky. Yikes. The result is that Biden's historically low approval rating drops another 4 points to 37%, according to JL Partners poll of 804 registered voters. Can his approval get any lower? Can Biden's approval get any lower? 52% of people surveyed by the Daily Mail said Joe Biden was wrong to pardon Hunter. 29% said he was right. 19% said, don't know. I don't know. I'd like to meet the I don't know crowd. Wouldn't you? Whenever you see these polls, it's like, I want to hang out with the I don't know people. Personally, I understand why you would pardon your son. I would pardon my son. I would. I just would. This Hunter Biden stuff, though, is wild. The blanket pardon for the crimes he's been charged for and the crimes he could be charged for. Insanity. And the voters see it after months and months of we're not going to pardon him. We're not going to pardon him. And then the pardon, the voters see it and they go, yeah, well, you lied to us. You lied to us. Even prominent Democrats are getting in on this. Charlemagne over at the Breakfast Club, he's become one of our favorites to play as we've kind of slowly seen him get red-pilled over time. But he was talking about the Hunter Biden pardon, and he said Democrats have lost the moral high ground.
Hunter was singled out because he broke the law. That's number one. He was singled out because he had an illegal gun and tax evasion charges, not because he was the president's son. And I honestly don't care. I just want Democrats to stop acting like they are on this moral high ground politically when they have shown us they're not, whether it's skipping the primary process when Biden stepped down and things like Biden pardoning his son. Stop acting like y'all the pure party and Republicans aren't. And it also shows me elected officials can do whatever they want as long as they have the political will and courage to do it.
He's not wrong. Democrats have no moral high ground after Hunter Biden pardon. This is from one of the biggest radio shows in the country, just for the record, with a huge, massive Democrat audience in major big blue cities all over the country. This hits a lot of ears. And he wouldn't be saying it if his audience wasn't feeling it. He wouldn't. But let's be honest. Joe Biden got elected by telling us that the contents of the laptop and the laptop from Hunter itself were just Russian disinfo and propaganda. And he leaves the White House pardoning his son for everything we found on the laptop he told us was Russian propaganda and disinfo. Isn't that wild? But they've been trying to frame this as like, oh, well, if his name wasn't Hunter, if his last name wasn't Biden, nobody would have gone after him. It's like, guys, he threw a gun out at a trash can near a school. He lied on a federal background check. He didn't pay his taxes. Just on those cases alone, yes, any American would be charged. Every single one of them. And Biden's own DOJ and special counsel David Weiss are balking at the idea that Hunter was selectively and unfairly prosecuted for tax evasion and gun crimes, and that it's nonsensical to say it was. This is from the New York Post. The government does not challenge that the defendant has been the recipient of an act of mercy, but that does not mean the grand jury's decision to charge him based on a finding of probable cause should be wiped away as if it never occurred, Weiss wrote in a filing with the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California that insisted Hunter's tax case should not be dismissed by the judge despite the pardon from the president. He goes on to say it also does not mean that his charges should be wiped away because the defendant falsely claimed that the charges were the result of some improper motive. No court has agreed with the defendant on these baseless claims, and his request to dismiss the indictment finds no support in the law or the practice of this district. When they say he was only charged because his last name is Biden, David Weiss says no. Hard pass. He was charged because he committed crimes. I think you can make the argument the other way that there were crimes he could have been charged for that he wasn't because his last name was Hunter Biden. You can go back to the IRS whistleblower testimony where the IRS whistleblower said, we were told, stop looking over here. Don't look into that. Don't look into that. They said because they thought it might lead to Joe. Yeah. Would that have happened if his last name wasn't Biden? I don't know. Well, you could say it could. It would have. Maybe not. But Weiss noted in his filing that judges in both the California tax evasion case and the Delaware gun case dismissed the nonsensical position that Hunter was on trial due to selective justice. He said there was none and never has been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution in this case. The defendant made similar baseless accusations in the United States District Court for the District of Delaware. Those claims were also rejected. In explaining why, the Delaware court exposed the nonsensical nature of the defendant's selective prosecution claims. Nonsensical nature. Yep. I mean, what do you expect? It's the guy that smokes Parmesan cheese that he found on the carpet because he thought it was crack. So, nonsensical. That fits right in line with everything we've seen from Hunter Biden. Chuck Schumer was asked about the pardon yesterday, and I actually love this. Chuck gets so angry. This guy gets visibly frustrated and irritated with these questions about the pardon.
Do you agree with some of your Democrat colleagues who say that President Biden's pardoning Hunter Biden was wrong or unwise, puts personal interest ahead of duty?
I got nothing for you on that.
Can I follow up on that? Are you concerned with the lack of transparency, lack of honesty around Biden's decision to pardon?
As I said, I got nothing for you on
Follow up
that.
on that too?
Nope.
Great.
Gonna s-
that pardoning anyone on the way out of office, family members, sets a poor precedent.
Thank you. I've got nothing for you on that.
But the question is, they talked about January 6th pardons. This is a playbook for incoming President Trump. Isn't this a problem? Did he not establish a bad precedent for pardons?
I got nothing for you on that. Any other subjects? Any?
And then he walks away. I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. But it does set a precedent. And I hope that Donald Trump on January 20th goes in there and pardons every J6 protester that he can. And I hope he looks at every single J6 protester case. Let's be honest. Can we just be honest? Some of those guys had charges put on them for crimes they committed. The very, very small amount. But to the grandmothers that went into the Capitol to say a prayer, can we get that pardoned? You know? Can we get some pro-lifers pardoned that have been targeted by the FBI? That'd be cool. That'd be cool. The precedent it sets gives Donald Trump the opportunity to get in there and do what needs to be done. However, the Democrats continue to double down. Kamala's former comms director, he's really pushing that narrative that Hunter Biden was targeted by this new administration coming in. He was going to be targeted, and that's why they had to pardon him.
Why did Joe Biden pardon his son for 11 years? It's because his son is targeted by this new administration, and he's concerned about it. And so we talk about whether or not someone's going to be, we talk about whether or not somebody's going to be not held politically accountable. They're above the law. You know who's above the law? Donald Trump was convicted of 34 counts of felony, and he is not going to be sentenced because of that. He's above the law. Justice Clarence Thomas has ethical problems and is ruling on cases involving his wife, and nobody can hold him to account. He's above the law.
I love how they say, "Oh, well, Trump is above the law." You know who cleared Donald J. Trump? It was about how many million votes did he get? I think it was like around 77 million votes. 77 million Americans cleared Donald Trump of the witch hunt charges that they put on him. He said Hunter's being targeted by this new administration. That's why he had to give him a pardon for 11 years. Well, he had to give him a pardon because he committed crimes over those 11 years. Weird. The narrative is going to be Hunter was selectively prosecuted. Hunter was pardoned because this next administration is coming after him. I don't think people are going to buy it. I just don't. I don't buy it. You don't buy it. And prominent members of the media don't buy it. Leftist members of the media. Wait till you hear what Stephen A. Smith said about Hunter Biden. I like Stephen A. He's getting slowly red-pilled throughout this last election as well. And he seems like he's about to make a big turn around that corner of being red-pilled. I'll bring you what Stephen A. said about Hunter's pardon next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
What's at stake for Tennessee and the nation at the Supreme Court today? And Pete Hegseth's mother accuses the media of using dangerous tactics to smear her son. Those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. We're live in the Better Water LLC studios, 615-737-9986. If you want to join the conversation, either on the phone lines or the text lines. I've been reading all these messages about how excited people are. Murphy taking afternoons. That's going to be starting after the drive reaches its final destination on Christmas Eve. Chad Benson, the new guy coming in, 12-3. Looking forward to him. Chad does an awesome job. So you got no shortage of talent on this radio station. We're losing the big guy, Brian Wilson, to retirement, and we're all going to miss him. But, man, we have a bright future ahead of us. Very, very excited. We were talking about, well, speaking of bright future or lack thereof, that's a radio segue. The Democrats, they got a tough time, trying to weasel their way out of this Hunter Biden pardon. And the mental gymnastics. You have two groups of Democrats. You have one Democrat who will say he shouldn't have done it, which we'll talk about. And then you have other Democrats who say he had to do it. He had to do it. He's being targeted. But there are people out there that aren't involved in politics that are forming their opinion on this as well. Stephen A. Smith is one of those guys. Stephen A. Smith never really appeared to be a full-on Trump guy. I think there's a chance that Stephen A. Smith may have voted for Trump or just didn't vote at all. I haven't seen where he actually landed on it. But as we went through the election cycle, Stephen A. Smith, who's a big-time host on ESPN, I've seen him just slowly get red-pilled. Because the guy understands competition, and he always felt like Kamala Harris wasn't competing with Trump. And now, after this Hunter Biden pardon, he's interviewed by Chris Cuomo here on News Nation, and he says, guys, they say that the Hunter stuff were political witch hunt, right? The Hunter crimes were all political. But what have they been doing to Trump for years? And you can see the light bulb moment in his head. Like when that connected.
What's your take on the pardon?
The Biden situation disgusted me in terms of the pardon only from this standpoint, Chris. Nobody on the planet, you want to be a cynic and you want to act like you would be offended by something like that if you're one of those people out there, fine. But no one within reason would have a problem with him saying, it's my son. I love him. There's no way I'm sending him to jail, and I have the power to avoid it. No.
Yeah, nobody would blame him for that. I wouldn't blame him for that.
Nobody would blame him for that. But that's not where he went. So I didn't have a problem to answer your question directly with the decision that he made to pardon his son. Boo Boo the Fool knew he was going to do that. I don't care who he stood in front of or sat in front of and said that he wasn't going to pardon his son and he was just going to go by the letter of the law. Please, everybody and their grandmother knew he was going to pardon his son. But to come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was, and the GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years?
There it is. You want to tell us that Hunter Biden is the victim of a political witch hunt? Have you been paying attention to reality lately?
Now, you can make an argument about the legitimacy of the cases against Donald Trump compared to what wasn't legitimate, etc. That's not the point. The point is it was clearly politicized. You had folks on the left who were hell-bent on going after Donald Trump because they were determined to make sure that he couldn't run for re-election or that these elements would get in the way of him possibly winning re-election. And now we know why more than ever, because they weren't confident they would ever be able to beat him. He'd been a Republican nominee since 2016. He beat Hillary Clinton with the Electoral College vote. He wouldn't concede defeat in 2020, but he did receive over 74 million votes at that particular moment in time. And then you fast forward 4 years later, despite the 34 felony convictions, the 2 impeachments, the bevy of crimes that he had been accused of, the Republican voters out there, the conservative voters out there, and a lot of independents from various communities said, he's the guy we want, and I've said it on many, many occasions. It wasn't about him. Just like it wasn't about Biden in 2020, it was more against Trump. In this particular instance, it was an indictment against the Biden administration, what had been going on for the last 4 years, some of the things going on with the border, obviously inflation, of course crime in the streets, of course woke and cancel culture and all of that. It all played a role.
It did. It all played a role. But I think the American people chose Donald Trump to fix that. But I love watching Stephen A. Smith connect those dots. You're telling me that Hunter Biden was a political witch hunt? What have you guys been doing to Donald Trump all of these years? It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
(9:30) now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Today, before justices sitting on the Supreme Court bench, the case of a Tennessee teenager named L.W., who's suing the volunteer state to be able to medically transition.
Last year, Tennessee lawmakers banned the treatments LW was receiving, citing contradictory scientific evidence and uncertainty about long-term harm. To keep receiving treatments, LW's family had to travel out of state, and last year, they sued Tennessee. Today, their case goes before the Supreme Court.
ABC's Rhiannon Alley reporting. Creator of that bill, State Senator Jack Johnson, argues the treatments are not care. He spoke to Dan Mandis this morning.
We have a compelling interest to protect kids, and that's what we're doing with this legislation. We're protecting kids from having their body irreversibly and irreparably damaged, mutilated, whatever you want to say, removal of breasts, alteration of genitals. We shouldn't be doing that in Tennessee.
Other news as questions swirl about the appointment of Pete Hegseth to lead the Pentagon. His mom sat down with Fox News this morning to set the record straight about a leaked email from 7 years ago in which she accused her son of mistreating women. Penelope Hegseth took aim first thing at the media.
I let a few phone calls go, but then they call you and say they threaten you. That's the first thing they do. Right. They say, unless you make a statement, we will publish it as is. And I think that's a despicable way to treat anyone. Threats are dangerous, and they're hard on families.
Penelope Hegseth said that she apologized to her son within hours of writing that email and insists that her son is the perfect fit for the job. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 9:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Are you seeing cracks in your foundation? Are you seeing your porch steps sink? These aren't good signs. And if you're seeing these red flags, you need to call the foundation experts, United Structural Systems. You've heard these guys on our station for years. They've been in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they aren't going anywhere. They're good people, honest, hardworking guys, proud of the work they do. And if you're noticing any of those red flags, like cracks in your foundation, if you're noticing water getting into your crawl space or wet basement walls or cracks in those basement floors, that's your house trying to tell you something, and you need to talk to somebody that is fluent in-house. Give USS a call to check it out, 615-488-7855. They have 25,000 satisfied customers in Middle Tennessee. I'm confident you're going to be 25,001. Call USS today, no matter what you need. Foundation repair, steel underpinning system, sinkhole remediation repair, basement wall realignment, crawl space encapsulation. They do it all. 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
President Biden decides to pardon his son, okay, Hunter. Everybody reacts to it. People lose their minds. The clips that you see going viral are clips of him saying he won't do it. No one's above the law. His words. It's funny, there's a tweet that's been trending with community notes. That's Biden who posted no one's above the law. Underneath it, the community note says, on December 1st, President Biden pardoned his own son after for 11 years he was accused, and that's the one, right? No one is above the law.
How brilliant is that?
And look at this. Joe Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden.
So his son is,
according
in fact,
to Joe Biden's action, he and his son are, in fact, above the law.
It's 9:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're live from the Better Water LLC studios. My name is Chris Hand. Joe Biden and his son are, in fact, above the law. That was Patrick Bet-David on the PBD podcast, chuckling about the community note that was added on Twitter to one tweet by Joe Biden that said no one is above the law. Well, hang on there, Chief. You got at least one. We got one. Hunter Biden is above the law. Not all the Democrats are going along with this, though. There's quite a few Democrats that are backing away. Gavin Newsom is one of those guys, tearing into Biden for pardoning son Hunter. Gavin Newsom said he's disappointed in Joe after the president announced a pardon for his son. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Newsom, who really wants to be president and really sees what this is going to do to the Democrat Party, he's distancing himself from it. The Daily Mail puts it this way. He opened with empathy for what the president had chosen to do, protecting his son from likely prison time, but ultimately did not agree with Biden changing his stance. With everything the president and his family have been through, I completely understand the instinct to protect Hunter, Newsom told Politico on Tuesday. But I took the president at his word. So by definition, I'm disappointed and can't support the decision. Newsom really wants to be president in 2028, doesn't he? There's no way you back away from this if you don't. There's other Democrats out there. Jim Clyburn is out there doubling down, saying, no, that he had to do it. He had to do what he had to do because, they were going to get him. They were going to be after him, without a doubt. This new administration was going to target him because of his last name. Unreal. That was on CNN last night. It was laughable at best. But Jim Clyburn, I mean, he doesn't have much legs left politically, right? So he's just looking out for his boys. This is what it sounded like on CNN last night.
I'm so glad you're with me here today. You've undoubtedly heard the criticism, and I wonder, are you okay with the pardon of Hunter Biden?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I am absolutely okay with it. I don't know how many people urged him to do so, but I did.
You did?
Yes, I did.
So not only is James Clyburn okay with the pardon, he urged Biden to pardon Hunter. Are you keeping score?
Because I know he was targeted. We all know that but for the fact that he was Joe Biden's son, he would never have been taken through these gyrations.
If he wasn't Joe Biden's son, we all know for a fact he would have never been taken through these gyrations, says Jim Clyburn. If he wasn't Joe Biden's son, he would have never had to worry about evading his taxes or throwing away a gun near a school, right? Is that what you're saying?
And so I told him the last time I talked to him.
2 weeks ago?
Yes.
What was his reaction to that, by the way?
He seemed to be a bit reticent about it.
I'm so glad.
A bit reticent about it. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. Thanks. Mike in Nashville wants to talk about Hunter Biden. What's up, Mike?
Okay, how you doing? First of all, I want to give you a compliment. I don't even live in Nashville. I'm a truck driver. I'm in Texas right now, and I just happened to be driving through Nashville last week, and I heard you on the radio, and I like what you got to say. And you make my drive a lot easier for these 3 hours that you're on the radio. So I'm definitely going to be listening to you, and I'm telling people back in Texas to tune into your radio station too.
Hey, Mike,
so
man, I appreciate that wholeheartedly. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I listen to a lot of talk. I got a lot of time, when you're driving a truck, and you got a lot of time to, find different radio stations. And like I said, I was in Nashville last week, and I heard you talking about situations, with some politics, and I like what you had to say. It's a lot better than what they got going on in Texas, I guarantee you that.
Appreciate you, bro.
Now, let me say this about Hunter Biden right quick. Let me say this. This guy here, I heard a guy say that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Everything that Hunter Biden is involved in, he learned it from the big guys they like to call Joe Biden. That's what they called him when he was making the deals over there with Hunter Biden and this bogus company that they were working for. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are both guilty. And like I heard the guy say the other day, Joe Biden, he better pardon himself because Joe Biden is in a lot of trouble, too. So hopefully Biden, if his mental mind is up to it, he better figure out a way to pardon himself. And he better try to figure out how to pardon Kamala Harris and Mayorkas and a whole bunch of other Democrats that's working in the White House. Because you know these people have been involved with some bad stuff for the last 4 years.
Oh.
So Joe Biden's gonna be busy the next couple of weeks.
100%. The one pardon I'm looking for is going to be James Biden. I think that's going to be one of the first ones we see in a couple of weeks is his brother James, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely going. Like I said, Joe Biden is the dirtiest president that we've ever had in the White House. No president has ever done what this man has done, and got away with it. And I want to say this one last thing right quick. I thought about this last night. I'm going all the way 4 years from now, in 2028, when Donald Trump gets ready to leave the White House. I hope Donald Trump pardons everybody in his family the same way good old Biden did just the other day. And I thank you for taking my call.
Hey, I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for listening, man. Let's go to Corey in the borough on Hunter Biden. What's up, Corey?
Not much. I agree with you and Mike for the most part, but I will say that I think you were right about his brother. Like, there's more pardons coming, and I just think Biden spent the entire year saying he wouldn't do what he said he did just to be political. So I don't see this as a shocking thing at all. And for the Democrats who are doubling down, it's surprising that they don't point out that he admitted to such criminal activities but it's okay because he's the son of the president. So he definitely was not targeted because he's a Biden. He was definitely pardoned because he was a Biden, though.
Yep, 100%, man. I appreciate the call. Good take. Let's go to Lawrence in the borough on Hunter Biden. What's up, Lawrence?
Hey, enjoy your program. I just want to say, and the old-timers know this, you've heard that phrase, blood's thicker than water. So I knew it was coming, and he's not through yet. He's going to turn some more people loose. And I want to say this about Obama and Harris. Both of them had got red blood running through them, and they got awful chummy there at the election. So, you know how things go. And I'm for President Trump, and I hope he drains the swamp dry.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, it's feeling like an uphill battle with all the Hegseth stuff, the Gates stuff, and more, which we'll talk about later. And Obama and Harris did get a little chummy. I think the Obamas always liked Harris. I think that was their pick in 2020 as well, before Tulsi Gabbard eviscerated Kamala on the debate stage. I don't think they're going to be backing her any longer, though. I think that ship has sailed. Brian on the road wants to talk about Jim Clyburn. What's up, Brian?
What's up, man? That guy right there, I think I heard him say, Jim Clyburn, one time about being a Christian or referencing God or whatever, and all these people that claim ethics and morals. Well, if that's the case, then me and you, Brian and Chris, we're not that kind of Christian. So where's that come across, and how do we weigh that, Because they don't have the same justice definition that we do. And so the Bible's the ultimate justice.
Yep.
Those people have no morals or ethics when it comes to money and power. And like the guy said before, I hope Trump cleans house. I'm like that other guy too that says about the swamp. Let's don't call it that, because we need the swamp for the ecosystem. They say, I'm not a big tree hugger. Let's drain that sewer up there.
Yes. Let's not disparage swamps.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Brian. The funny part about the Hunter Biden stuff is all the extra stuff that's coming out in light of this pardon. Did you hear the claim that's going around online? Breitbart has the story. I saw the claim on Monday. Hunter, in an attempt to cover some debts, he tried to pay with his art. The art in question was made with his own feces. So that's how you know it's good.
That's gross.
This is true. This is what happened. Monday on Stephen Gardner's show, Taming Wall Street, Breitbart editor-in-chief Alex Marlow was on discussing a claim about Hunter Biden's art. He said, "I don't know if you know this story or not, but I guess Hunter was $380,000 behind in rent to hedge fund manager Sean McGuire, and he kept asking him, 'You got to pay me. You got to pay me.' Which I'm sure, if Hunter Biden owes you money, I'm sure you're making that phone call a lot." Hunter Biden paints a painting and says, "Because of my name and superior painting and artistic ability, you can sell this and get caught up on the rent I owe you." So the guy receives the painting, and he's like, "This painting is terrible." And then he realized that it was painted with Hunter's own poop, his own fecal matter.
So wouldn't it smell bad? I'm just saying. He should know right away, right?
One would think. Breitbart's Alex Marlow said he heard it online on the X platform like everyone else. We all saw the tweet going around. It was going viral. He said, "I wouldn't be shocked if this stuff is true. Hunter's art was always a grift. He was always a troll. He was never really an artist. He was just a brilliant troll." And he said one of his favorite parts of Breaking Biden, the book he wrote, was that when you go through the grift of Hunter art, he was literally at one point painting with a crack pipe. That's how he did his paintings, with a crack pipe. No word on if he used the crack pipe to do the feces painting to pay off the debts. We'll keep digging. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm here for my friends at the Glock Store. The guys at Glock Store are the best. If you need to do some Christmas shopping, you need to do some Christmas training, you need to do it at the Glock Store. And let me tell you guys, these Shoot 270 training rooms, there's nothing else like it in the entire country. It's the only one in the country. The indoor shooting rooms are unbelievable, and you get in there with a personal trainer, you're going to learn more than you've ever learned about shooting before. You see, a lane range is always going to be a lane range, and it's going to be a lane range, no matter where you go to that lane range. It's always the same. You can change the state, you can change the city, that lane range is going to be the same. But the Shoot 270 private shooting rooms are one-on-one personal instructions. You'll actually shoot less and learn more, and you'll leave the room a better, more confident, more competent shooter than you went in every time, guaranteed. And this happened to me, too. We'll get a box of bullets, we'll go in there, and at a lane range, man, I'll go through 2 or 3 easily. But in those Shoot 270 rooms, when we're practicing leaning around corners and clearing rooms, you're shooting a lot less. You're focusing a lot on technique, and man, it is super helpful. If you want to book a session, you can do it at shoot270.com, and you'll be glad you did. It's the Glock Store, glockstore.com, and shoot270.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7, Metro Nashville Council votes against the use of new technology for police. Also, a killer is still on the loose in New York City, and a big corporate CEO is dead. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I saw that CEO story, and I don't want to, blow it. But my head immediately gets wrapped in tinfoil when I see stuff like that. And I'm like diving down rabbit holes and being like, are they cleaning up loose ends before a guy like RFK gets in there? I don't know.
I think it's valid. I think your concerns are valid.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm not as crazy as I think I might be?
Well, only because I think the same way, and I don't want to think of myself as crazy. So you must not be either.
Perfect. All right. We're on the same page. It's a weird story coming up in the news with Joan Jones. Weird indeed. On the way, I want to talk about this Trump DEA nomination withdrawal. Apparently, when people make their voices heard about their displeasure, people listen. And at the same time, people are really getting behind Pete Hegseth. And I don't think Pete's going to be backing down. There's all these rumors flying around that, they could replace him with DeSantis. Maybe Joni Ernst. What about Bill Haggerty? And I think, meh. We'll talk about all that on the way. But that DEA chief, the guy nominated for the job, was arresting priests during COVID and preaching about the need to social distance your boats. It's like, well, why'd you choose that guy? We'll talk about the withdrawal and how Thomas Massie played a role in it on the way. Plus, Pete Hegseth, the interview his mom gave, and his statement this morning, plus the phone call he received from President-elect Donald J. Trump. All that and more. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.